What's up, everybody? Hope everyone is having a great evening so far. Tonight, we have a very special guest straight out of Broward County, Brett from CanesWear. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Brett. Greatly appreciate it, man. Can you hear us, Brett?
I hear you now. I hear you.
Man.
Yes, my fiance is listening in the other room. She's on a little bit of a delay, so it's
It's all good, man.
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. I don't know why I'm crooked here or something like that, but hey, that's just, I think, the story of my life.
And speaking of Canes news, man, I think today is the perfect weekend. After all the news today, I think that this weekend is the perfect weekend to go get some Canes gear out at CanesWear. Definitely support a local business. As we all know by now, COVID-19 has taken a huge toll of the economy, affected a lot of local businesses. So go out, go to Broward County. It's next to Las Spadas. Get a nice hoagie and go to CanesWear and support Brett, man, because he's killing it. And thank you so much again, man, for coming on. Brad, what you got for us this evening?
Yeah, like Paul said, man, Brett, as always, man, you're a good dear friend of mine. It's a pleasure to always have you in the presence. If anybody watching who's a Canes fan has not visited CanesWear either at the store or on the website, I promise you they're the best store to be at, whether it's in the store or online. They do great customer service and they get the best of the best things, man. Anytime something new comes in, Brett has no hesitation of hitting you up on an email or letting you know exactly what comes in. So it's a pleasure to have you on, Brett. And let's get started with some exciting news, man. We kicked off this morning with the new schedule for the Miami Hurricanes, as far as home and away, knowing exactly who we play in on the certain dates. Well, what was your thoughts on that, Brett?
I thought, first when I saw the schedule, I thought, okay, you figure if the ACC is putting this together, it's obviously not going to favor the Canes. And it seemed that way. What do we got? UAB first, and then we go in kind of a gauntlet of games.
Yeah.
At Clemson, we do get a bye, thankfully, and then we go ahead and get FSU. Or is it? Then we got.
So we got. So let me read it off for you, so you remember. So it's UAB opening game. Okay. Then you got Louisville and Florida State. Then you have a open bye week per se. Then you have Clemson, Pittsburgh, Virginia. And then your next bye week, and then it's NC State, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, North Carolina. Well, who pops out to you? Obviously, Clemson. Is there any other games you worry about?
I think I think Clemson is definitely going to be obviously a challenge. It'd probably be more of a challenge now with today's news. But I think North Carolina. I mean, I was excited to have another chance. I don't think they're going to beat us this last time. We had to do everything wrong to lose that game. I think Florida State is always obviously a great game. I mean, we know we'll have 80,000 screaming game, so it's going to be exciting. It was a joke. But the game from I just think it'll be interesting. We play Wake Forest, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Second to last game right before North Carolina.
So it's more about us playing than who we play right now. Just the fact that if we can just get on the field, this is very deep. It's and I'm excited. I'm just like everybody else, just excited to see the guys play, excited to see King and Lashley's offense, excited to see the awesome defense. So I'm pumped that to get these guys on the field and see football and just keep our fingers crossed that we can play every game.
Absolutely, man. You said it best, man. I think for right now we need to take it one game at a time and just count the W's and just make sure we're winning consistently. Paul, what did you think about the schedule?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. We do have Clemson after a bye week. Last season, we did not win any of the bye weeks. I felt like we were very unprepared. So this is going to be a great test. Can Manny get over the bye week hump? It's going to be very interesting. That North Carolina State game does scare me. Remember, NC State, they play very well against teams that are above their level. They almost beat Clemson. They always beat Florida State every year. And playing a Friday night in Raleigh, I don't know if there's going to be fans. I don't know, but, it's an away game on a Friday night. Dave Doran, they're not a bad football program, okay? He's on the hot seat, but they're not a bad football program, so just look out for that. Again, it's after a bye week as well. Also, Louisville, second week of the season, that does concern me. That's a very good program. Scott Satterfield, his offense gave us the most trouble on defense. The past season, So look out for that game. And Florida State as well. I keep repeating this, guys. We were down by 28 in the third quarter, okay, with a sold-out crowd. Let's replay that situation. We're down 28 points present day with no one in the audience. Does Miami come back? I don't think so.
I definitely agree, Paul, and I think the key, especially you were talking about coming off of buys last year, I think the key is going to be seeing the difference of game planning between what we had in Dan Enos last year and what we have now with Rhett Lashley. You look at kids like Ja'Kai Clark and Isaiah Walker talk about how easy the playbook is nowadays, how you can learn the playbook in almost a month. So being able to game plan from week to week, I'm hoping should help. And like you said, man, Louisville week 2 will be a test for sure. You got kids like Tutu Atwell, who was just in South Florida's backyard, one of the greatest players in college football last year as far as electrifying. So that's one of those kids that can take it the distance on any play. And then you see North Carolina at the end of the schedule, man, that could be one of two things. That could be the difference of who makes it into the ACC championship game, or it could just be a regular game that maybe by then Sam Howell could not be playing, or maybe they're not doing as good as we all thought, or vice versa. Maybe we're not doing as good as we all thought. But me personally, man, what I look at that pops out the most is the Clemson and Pittsburgh game back to back. You're talking about a really good Clemson team that may have Trevor Lawrence, may not have Trevor Lawrence. But even if we're able to sneak past that Clemson game, either with a victory or with not too much injuries, you're looking at the next week with a Pittsburgh team who probably has a D-line just as good as ours. So we definitely got to be ready for something like that. But definitely agree.
Yeah, and I feel like that North Carolina game at the end of the season, it's going to be a very injury-riddled kind of game. You know, in the sense of the pandemic, certain players aren't going to be allowed to play. We've seen that with Major League Baseball with the Marlins. I mean, they've had literally 20 guys test positive. So I feel like that's going to be a very interesting game. And we may even have fans at the stadium around that time. It's the last game of the season. We'll see if things are more settled down with what's going on with the outbreak. So it's going to be a very interesting season. Brett, what game are you worried about that you just can't sleep at night thinking about?
Well, obviously, I mean, the Clemson game to start it off. Obviously, that game, I mean, if we go ahead and win that game, I mean, just the excitement level in the season is carrying on. I mean, and if we don't win that game, you hope the fans are just, I hope they're still positive. I think they will be, but sometimes some fans can get a little bit down. We lose a game like they expect us to win every game, every week, every year. So, I mean, obviously, the UAB game will be easy. The Clemson game. Did you say, I thought the Clemson game was the second game of the season?
No, it's fifth.
It's the fifth game of the season? All right.
Yep.
So I'm at the wrong schedule. I apologize. Obviously,
Yeah.
I was off there. Okay. My bad.
It's all good.
Obviously, fans come in the store every year and say the same thing. If we beat Florida State, I can live with any other game, us not winning other games. We know that's not true because we beat Florida State last year, and obviously we lost several games and people aren't happy. But I think the bragging rights in the FSU game is always the biggest game of the year. So I'm going to go with that's the biggest game of the year. Recruiting, everything.
Absolutely. No. I completely agree, man. I mean, every year at Miami, Florida State, I mean, that's bragging rights right there. Mike Norvell, he did a fabulous job down in Memphis. Can he carry that same momentum down in Tallahassee? He's got big shoes to fill with Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Bowden down in Tallahassee. So we'll see what happens. Guys, I want to hear your opinion regarding Gregory Rousseau leaving early. He's going to forego his redshirt sophomore season. Brad, what are your thoughts about that?
When I first saw it, I thought it was the best decision for him, man. I think I'm always behind these kids no matter what. And I think during this pandemic and what's going on right now, you saw other players from other teams currently that are doing the same thing. And I expect a lot more with bigger even names. And you look at a kid like Greg Russo, who's got a very good head on his shoulders, very smart young man. He proved pretty much everything to everyone last year. I mean, with his size, his stature, his frame, I mean, he's a walking NFL defensive end right now. And after what he did last year, me personally, he doesn't have anything more to prove. I mean, any Cane fan out there who thinks he should have stayed, unfortunately, I'm gonna put the title selfish on you. You gotta look back at these kids' lives and their future. These kids aren't getting paid right now. So if you if you have the ability to sit out a whole football year due to this pandemic, because we don't even know if this football year is even going to happen, right? I mean, we all love, like Brett's saying, man, you got to take it one game at a time and hope that we even get to that UNC game. You know, I mean, all it takes is one outbreak, one player to get seriously injured with this stuff, and bad things could happen. But I think at the end of the day, Greg Russo is going to be a top 10 pick before or after the season if he would have played. So I think it was in his best interest to do it. You might see guys like Trevor Lawrence and a few other guys that I would expect to opt out as well, which could hopefully help us in the future with teams like Clemson and others. But if you look at this roster, man, if there's one position on this football team that stood out before the season started, it was defensive ends, right? We were 5-6 deep at defensive ends. We have at least two guys on either side that could easily be a starter on any football team. So losing one defensive end and still having a guy like Quincy Roche, Jalen Phillips, Jafari Harvey, these are guys that are easily going to be able to pick up the slack. I mean, are they going to be that difference maker that Greg Russo was? No, but I think with the offense that we have, we're not going to need the difference makers like we needed last year. I mean, our offense was the bad end of the stick last year, where I think now we're going to start to see where the offense could end up giving a lot of defenses problems and could help us in the future. But all in all, I wish the best for Greg Russo.
Absolutely. Brett, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with Brad. I think, I definitely wish the best for Greg. I mean, obviously, we can't be in their position. I mean, it's their career, it's their lives. We're fans, but at the same time, when it's over, I mean, they go on with their lives. He's got an NFL career, obviously a very prosperous one that he's coming into. That being said, I'm not going to say that when I saw the news, I wasn't devastated. I mean, every time people come into the store, we talk sports, we talk Canes football. It's what's the most thing excited about outside of obviously the offense and King and Lashley is Russo and Roche on the ends. I mean, just that we're just so pumped about that defensive end position. Like Brad says, we're extremely deep. We've got we've got some great guys that can step in, but we are going to take a little bit of hit in depth because I'd have to say that Rousseau is possibly the best defensive player in the nation, and it's been a while since we've had that dominating of a player on the side of the football. So, but that being said, we will survive. We'll be fine. I mean, I'm hoping nobody else leaves. I think obviously today was a deadline, but at any time, anybody, like you said, on any team can just, enough. I don't want any more. So, but just happened. It was probably going to. I mean, I would think it was going back and forth in his head what he was going to decide, and Coach Mann probably thought when he went up there to speak to the press and have the press conference, okay, we're in, and he probably said, Coach, let me tell you now. So he probably didn't want to drop it after the press conference. That was my opinion on that. But so it was disappointing as a fan. I think that, like you said, there's going to be several the more kids that drop out the more that other players see from other teams, high profile or top draft pick opportunities, I think the more people are going to drop out. You're 100% correct, Brad.
And guys, is this the new common trend in college football? Last year, it was freshmen not winning the starting job and transferring to other Power 5 elite programs. We saw that with Justin Fields, even Jacob Eason. He lost the starting job. He goes all the way to Washington. Remember, it's these highly touted recruits that are transferring to other programs. I don't think it's more of the 3-star recruit in a sense, but the transfer portal, it's getting bigger and bigger. It's a free agency pool. This season, I know in a sense it's different circumstances with the very modified season, but Micah Parsons from Penn State, he will be he'll be foregoing his junior year. We saw Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech, first-round cornerback. He will be foregoing his junior season as well. Gregory Rousseau. Is this the new common trend? I feel like commitment is kind of dying down in football. What's the whole point of recruiting battles if they don't want to play after they get sacked their first year? Back then, I remember Kyle Wright, number 1 quarterback in the nation. Guess what, buddy? He had to wait his turn, and he was the number 1 quarterback in the nation. People redshirted. They waited their turn till it was their time. So do you guys think that this is the new trend, or this is just regarding the circumstances?
What do you think, Brett?
I think this is be a trend. You're absolutely right, Paul. I didn't think about it until you just mentioned it. Let's face it. I mean, years ago you had Jeff George. I mean, if you guys can remember Jeff George, he came. He was playing one college. He came to us. He had a backup. I think he was backing up. I don't know if it was Tested and Kosar or if it was Walsh, but whatever. So he left here. He came, transferred. I think he went to. Did he go to Illinois? Is that where he went? His last case, but he played for the Falcons. He was a great, excellent NFL quarterback. So he had started something that there were players that were doing that before. But it wasn't as common. But now, like you said, a guy comes. It's a microwave instant society that everybody wants immediate now. It's social media probably as big as a fault as anything. That people they want their name in lights. They don't have to play 4 years anymore. I mean, you can even 3 years. They can play 1 year if they're redshirted in this case, and now he's sitting out. But can this happen? Sure. I mean, look at the bowl games now. People are not going ahead and playing in the bowl game because they say, you know what, I don't want to play. I mean, people that make players that, in big games for the teams, it's an important game, and they're sitting out. Who was it a couple of years ago? Was it Michigan that it seemed like half the team sat out?
Yeah. That was in the bowl game against Florida, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that this could be some kind of trend. If a guy has some nagging injury maybe, or maybe even not, and he says, you know what, I go to the NFL next year no matter what. Why take a chance of having a devastating injury and not playing? We've seen it happen to Willis McGahee here. I mean, in the bowl game, Melvin Bratton before that.
Yep.
Well, it can happen. So I think, Paul, you're on something. This could be a trend. Hopefully it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and hopefully this is a trend that we don't have to see, right? I mean, we talk about recruits, and we just landed another 5-star recruit. We want to dip a little bit into recruiting, and I mean, we just landed a big time player in Leonard Taylor out of Palmetto. I mean, this is a kid that had offers from everybody. Another great kid with a good head on his shoulders. Wanted to make his mom proud. Wanted to stay home, and I mean, we saw what happened with James Williams, man. James Williams was the domino effect. I think if James Williams doesn't commit to Miami, I think you see a kid like Leonard Taylor end up pulling a opposite of Tay and going to a team like Florida, who has in the past snagged a few guys from us. But things are changing. We finally have an important full staff from top to bottom that can do it all, man. We have guys like Telly Lockett. We have guys like DeMarcus Van Dyke, Coach Cooney, Coach Field. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, we haven't even named the offensive staff as well. So I think this definitely can be a trend, like you said, Paul. But I hope we don't see this at Miami. I think you start to land these big fish. I mean, we just got Avonte Williams that's going to be playing this year. You add a guy like James Williams, Leonard Taylor, and another big safety like Cam Kitchens. And who knows, maybe we get a guy like Jason Marshall and Corey Collier to jump on as well, and that could end up getting bigger fish like a Chase Smith or Terrence Lewis to jump on board as well.
Speaking of recruits left, man, how about, the departure of Ja'Cory Hammett? Hey, it is what it is. He exited the class. That opens up an extra spot for us. For example, Amari Daniels, running back out of Miami Central. We probably didn't have room for him after the exit. Or Yoel Keith Brown, another wide receiver out of Miami Central. The opportunities are endless here. We have Jake Garcia moving down to South Georgia to play high school football. I've never seen anything like it. He's moving across the country just to play. And Miami is the second team that he's considering. I mean,
absolutely.
The opportunities are endless, guys. I mean, Brett, what do you think about that? About Jake Garcia going cross country?
Well, I think it's quite amazing. If you want to be close, obviously, the fact that he left, everyone's saying he's going to definitely sign out west. He's going to sign. Right. Chances are he's not going to sign out west now that he's coming. That pretty much eliminates it. So I think it's awesome. I mean, everybody's saying, we don't have a QB in this class. We don't have a QB. We need a QB. So definitely, there's one for us right there. I mean,
I agree.
I've been about the position a long time. I think that the opportunity, what King bringing in Lashley. I think Lashley started it all. I think Lashley is really what obviously got King. I don't know if we get King the other way. He comes in, and then he goes ahead and now other guys. And we had Van Dyke, who I think is going to be excellent. But I just think they're going to keep on coming. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. If we can do anything like they did at SMU, I just think the people are waiting in line. They're going to be transferring to Georgia and other places closer, just next to the U.
Absolutely, man. I mean, my guy Cliff texted me earlier, and he made a great point, man. If you're a 5-star kid in California and your dream school where you want to play, USC, is literally in your backyard, you're a 5-star kid and you really don't have anything to prove, right? You're kind of like in the same situation as Greg Russo opting out, right? Greg Russo did a lot last year on tape to where regardless, he's going to be a top 10 pick. You look at a guy like Jake Garcia, he's a 5-star recruit. He's gone to the camps. He looks and fits the eye test of a nice quarterback where he's going to get the offer and go to wherever college he wants to anyways, right? So if he was stuck with USC, why travel all the way to Georgia to play high school football when you could just sit out a year and get ready and get prepared for USC? Instead,
Right.
You're going to Georgia. That tells me you still have some type of interest in another school. What school could that be? You said it, Brett. It's the Canes.
USC's had a difficult time. I mean, in the days past, they would get guys. I mean, Tua probably would have been playing at USC if it was 10 years ago. So They have not been getting the guys that they've had in the past. They had that nice run for a while, but we've done pretty well with California kids. I mean, so we've come over here. They've come. So and I think, like you said, I think Jalen Phillips definitely helps. He came to Miami. He's energized. This is the place. That definitely helps to have somebody on the team as well.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Kaya, Gino Torretta,
Ken Dorsey,
Kyle Wright, all
Kyle.
California guys. It's a quarterback pipeline to Miami. Hey, we're waiting for you, Jake Garcia. Wait, go ahead, Brett.
In the pros, yeah.
What was that? It broke up.
We just need these guys to kickstart QBU in the pros again.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the last starting quarterback we had to get a start in the NFL was Brock Berlin.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
That's 03, 04.
Yeah. Stephen Morris got practice snaps at Indianapolis, I believe.
Brad Kyle left early.
Yep.
And he didn't get a snap, unfortunately. I felt like Mark Richt didn't really try to keep him, So, hey, it is what it is. Brett, I have a question. Do you think it's concerning if recruits are jumping from high school to high school every year, like we've seen with James Williams and we've seen with Jake Garcia? Does that translate to transferring to college programs at the next level?
I think it does. I remember when I was playing, rec sports as a kid, if you saw somebody quit, you go ahead that if they quit one sport, it seemed like they'll quit another sport and they'll quit another sport. So I'm not saying transfer and quitting is the same. All right, don't get me wrong there. But once you start, you don't stick it out. I mean, you say you're going to transfer. It's just so easy to transfer again. But high school has been that. High school has been so transient for so long that it seems like it's been that, okay, we're going to go to this program. We're going to go to that program. And it's getting worse every day, it seems like. And again, probably social media. I mean, people just want to hear their name. And then here, if they go ahead and go to the portal all the time, leave, it's going to be difficult. I've always hated the fact that a coach in college and the NCAA can leave and nothing happens, but a player can't leave. And I understand that that's wrong. So I wish they would say right ahead, you know what? When a coach is signing with a team, there's got to be a rule that if he wants to go, he's got to sit out. So that's the way you have to do it, because I don't think it's fair that coaches could do what they want and players couldn't. So I think they got to go start a little higher now and go to the coaches, make those deals. So if you don't want your players transferring, you can't transfer. It's got to be written out.
No, I completely agree. I think the NCAA, they're trying to cover a lot, and, they try to be fair, but really, I mean, the black market is too strong in the college football ranks. It's everyone knows there are things going under the table, and the NCAA, it seems like they look the other way for certain programs.
Mm-hmm.
So the NCAA has kind of lost its reputation, I feel like, over the years, and we're in a new era of college football, and recruiting is just getting bigger and bigger with social media. It's getting too gaudy, and I don't think it will ever – I don't know if this is as big as it will get or can even get bigger at this point. I mean, CBS News is announcing a 5-star defensive tackle out of Miami Palmetto Senior High School. His announcement. Howard Schnellenberger would just go to your living room and be like, yo, do you want to play for us or not? If not, we can get someone else down at Miami Southridge, Miami Killian, South Dade. So, that's kind of how it was back then.
Absolutely. And you talk about the revolution of how everything's changing, and it goes back to the Hurricanes, right? 15, 20 years ago, we we were the staple of college football, right? And as things evolve, as things change, you look at a university like Miami, and we are one of those teams that just could not evolve, right? We were one of the only few teams left that didn't go to a spread formation as far as on the offense. Yet we have all these guys in South Florida who play in the spread in high school, right? And then you're talking about in today's age how impacted social media is. So now look at how well our staff is using social media and the COVID to their advantage. I mean, you look at guys like Manny Diaz, who's the gift king. You got guys like Pop Cooney and DeMarcus Van Dyke, who are so relatable to these kids who feel more like a friend than a coach. You know, being able to build those relationships with all these different types of kids, that's what makes coaches like Coach Field, guys like Coach Banda, be able to stick out above the rest. They're able to relate to these kids on a whole different level. They understand what it's like not to have a father figure in their life. They know how it's like living in a tough environment and being able to come out and be a diamond out the rough, you know? So now that we're able to show this and show the results, as far as we're actually getting it now, you know, we're actually starting to land these 5-star guys. That's something that we haven't been able to do in the past, yet we just went 6 and 7. So I mean, it's a huge testament to this staff, in my opinion.
Brett, I want to ask you a question because, you know, I keep bringing up this comparison because I feel like it's so similar. You know, Randy Shannon, defensive coordinator at Miami, went to Miami Norland, did not have a good first year. It wasn't a circus in a sense. You know, it was a rebuilding year. He owned up to it. His recruiting class was number 1 in the nation, did an outstanding job. We locked up Miami-Dade County. Manny Diaz, defensive coordinator, went to Miami Country Day High School, local guy from Miami, you know, is also killing it on recruiting. I don't think recruiting's ever been the problem at Miami. It's more of a coaching development issue. What do you think are some differences that Manny Diaz is already showing compared to previous coaches in the past?
Well, the biggest thing is that, I was really excited when Randy came. I thought when Randy came, I was pumped. I thought it was we were going to be in the right track. And we got that great recruiting class from Northwestern. And I just thought we were on our way. Everybody was pumped up. I just thought he was, you know, from Miami. You understand, he lived a tough life. I mean, you couldn't have a more difficult upbringing than he did, and everything he was around, family and everything. And just thought, this guy is going to make it happen. He's getting the opportunity of a lifetime. And it just, for some reason, sometimes coaches come here. I mean, Al Golden too. They come here, everything is going real well, and just something sets them off, and they just spins out of control. I think the biggest thing, I think the biggest thing is that they don't adapt. They can't change. They don't understand that it's like it's their way or the highway. Randy just did things the way he wanted to. Okay. Golden did things the way he wanted to. I mean, when we first got Adidas in the store in 2014, and I said, okay, we're going to find out if Golden really wants to change, if he's going to wear a polo on the sideline or something instead of a white shirt. It's a brand new contract. Miami just signed a huge contract with Adidas. I mean, a $100 million deal. Is he going to wear a polo? Is he going to wear something with the U on it? And no, he comes out with the white long sleeve button down shirt and the orange tie. And right away I thought, he's never going to make it. I mean, so that is obviously not the reason he didn't make it. He couldn't adapt. He refused to change the defense. I mean, if we had his offense a couple of years ago, and you know, and the defense we had, we probably would, you know, we could have been in the playoffs for, you know, we had a good offense with Golden, but he just couldn't adapt. It was his defense the way he wanted to do it. Now, Coach Rick came in. It was great. We couldn't have been more excited. We got a winning coach, and I mean, what he did for the program. I mean, we won 15 games in a row. You know, in between the first and the second year. I mean, that game against Notre Dame, that back-to-back in Virginia Tech. I mean, that was the highlight of the program. I mean, the stadium was rocking. We got the indoor practice facility. I mean, he was doing everything right. But again, he for some reason did not want to change his offense. It was my offense. This is what I did. It's been working for me for 30 years, and it'll work today. So, you know, it didn't matter what players you had. He was going to go with that offense. It reminds me of when Don Shula, you know, great coach. And always a running game. Won the Super Bowl 7. Bob Greasy threw 7 passes, and then Dan Marino comes and we're throwing the ball all the time. So you know, your coach has to adapt, I believe, and that's the thing. That's why I love Manny so much. And I mentioned that to you, Brad. I mean, where everybody was on him last year. Yeah, it was the first year we did lose. We looked amazing in Louisville. We had that nice 3-game run. I said, hey, we're going to Orange Bowl. This guy, I love this. And then it just all fell apart when spiraling out of control. We lost to FIU. We got shut out in the bowl game. I mean, it was terrible. So what do we know? We needed a kicker. So we went out and got a kicker. I mean, that was so we probably win 3 more games last year. We may win the Gator game if we have a kicker. We beat North Carolina probably with a kicker. So we beat Boston College. It was a Boston College. No, I think it was. So pretty much Georgia Tech, exactly. Yeah, in the overtime. So he goes out. He needs an offense. Everyone says he'll never change. He goes out. Spread offense. First time. Everyone's been talking about it on social media. Then he gets a quarterback. I mean, I say whatever we needed. We need a defensive end. He gets a defensive end. He needed a lineman. He got the lineman. The fans wanted an offensive line coach. He got an offensive line coach. He did everything. That's what adapting and changes. I think to be great, to be a success, you have to be able to adapt to your team. And that's what Manny did. That's why I think it's much more exciting now because of what he's willing to do. Couldn't do it in the first year, but he did it in the offseason. People would have bet any amount of money, I'll bet, that he wouldn't change. I saw it every day, but he did. Unfortunately, the guys before, they refused to adapt. They refused to change.
Absolutely, man. You hit it right on the head, man. You had Golden that didn't want to change D'Onofrio's defense. You had Mark Richt, who didn't want to get rid of his son, John Richt, and a few others. You had a guy like Dan Enos who didn't want to change his play calling. And I think that was what was part of the problem last year with Manny Diaz. Not only was it his first time being a head coach, but he had no one else to go to look at when the offense was doing something wrong. When the offense was falling apart, nobody on that football staff knew how to run a play on offense besides Dan Enos. And that was part of the problem. When everybody wanted to point the finger at Dan Enos, well, who's to say that you can say anything above Dan Enos because you have no experience, right? So what did Manny Diaz do? He went and hired 3 offensive coordinators, one that coaches offensive line, one that coaches receivers, and one that is an actual offensive coordinator. All 3 of those guys, Lashley, Likens, and Justice, have all ran offense before. So now we have 3 guys you can look at. So now that's going to put a little bit more less pressure on offense, and it's going to allow Manny Diaz to actually be a head coach and put a little bit more focus on the defense when Blake Baker's not doing his job correctly.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. I love that Manny Diaz is learning from his mistakes and he's acting fast. He's not being stubborn. I don't know what went through Al Golden's mind, but why was it so hard to fire Mark D'Onofrio? Little fun fact, Mark D'Onofrio was named to be the head coach at Temple and Matt Rule was the OC at Temple. We could have switched. Okay. Jason Day, he was the quarterback's coach at Temple for a year, but he was part of Al Golden's staff. Like Al Golden, to a sense, like, he did have some brilliance in him. He did recruit a lot of under-the-radar guys from the Northeast. David Njoku was a diamond in the rough. I mean, that guy's athletic ability is through the roof. I think he's the most athletic tight end I've ever seen at Miami. I mean, honestly. So, in a sense, it's just stubbornness. Mark Richt, same story. Randy Shannon, he didn't have the resources, the funding. I think he gambled too much on Ja'Cory Harris. I think his injuries plagued his career. He did win us some big games, but hey, it is what it is. We're moving forward. Manny Diaz is our head coach. Brett, what's going on at CanesWear right now, man? You got any discounts, any sales that people should check out in the next few days?
Absolutely. So we have a lot going around, Paul. Right now we're running, we've got a lot of new stuff from Adidas. It's coming in every day. We've got a nice shipment. We've got a lot more coming in this month. We've got a cool vest that just came, cool shirt. So check it out, CanesWear.com. New arrivals, you'll see it. We've got our 20/40/60 sale. We've got over 500 items on sale up to 60%. They're either marked down 20%, 40%, or 60%. It's like we're marking down new things every day. So there's like 550 items in total right now. So we have that going on. Anybody that's watching this show, we're going to give an extra 10% off. You just use the coupon code or promo code SCOOP10. That's SCOOP, like the show, the number 10, one word. And you go ahead and get 10% off your entire purchase. It doesn't matter if it's a starter jacket, which are still flying out, and we're the only people with the special CanesWear starter jacket, front and back, or if it's even something on sale, you're still going to get an additional 10%. So we're going to run that. We'll run that for what's today? Today is Wednesday. Thursday. We'll run that through. Run that through Monday. Okay, Thursday to Monday special, extra 10%, and. So we got those things going. We've got some masks in stock, the good, cool Canes masks we have. We've got, that sums it up, and there's a bunch in my mind. We got a full line of ladies stuff. So we've got some nice halter tops for women. They'll be online tomorrow. A lot of other cool things. So lots of new stuff at CanesWear is getting in the fall items. We're really pumped right now.
Definitely.
Awesome. And speaking of 10%, have you seen Florida State's schedule? I think they're only going to win about 10%. Did you see that? Man, you want to talk about a tough schedule, man. They got another one coming, man. I feel sorry for Florida State fans this year. They
a little bit of trouble right now in this race.
Man.
So Taggart, year one after him is going to be different. Oh, just so people know, it is CanesWear.com if you don't know. And also we're located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie. That's 2511 South University Drive in Davie, or CanesWear.com. And look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. If you have never been to the CanesWear store, please, by all means, take time if you've ever been in the area to go do so. Brett and his team is the absolute best, man. I mean, but from the minute you walk in that door, if you've been in CanesWear after the first visit, they know your name, they know what you like. It almost feels like a family as soon as you walk in the door. And that's honestly the best thing about CanesWear, I could honestly say. I talk to Brett on a daily basis, man, and he's not a manager of a store. He's not an owner of a store. That's a good friend right there. And I mean, he's like that with anyone. All you got to do is go to CanesWear and support the U, and he's always got your back.
Appreciate that, Brad. Yo, we like to think of ourselves. It's all about family, friends. We started a little warehouse 10 years ago, and it was just knowing people, treating people right, like family. You know, you go to Disney World, you're feeling good. You go to stores like that. That's what it's all about. I mean, we're the only privately held store. All the other ones are pretty much, the big stores out there nationwide on the internet or so, or big factory companies, corporate. So we're a personal business. So, you need to talk to us. You can, any of the team. We love our customers. We love the Canes. We love all South Florida sports, and it's all about you, the customer.
Hey, Brett, how did you become a Canes fan? What was that one magical moment where you're like, man, I'm just hooked?
That is an excellent question. So I grew up in Miami Beach. All right.
You went to Beach High?
I went to Beach High. Absolutely.
There you go. Do you know Michael Von Zaft?
I don't know Michael. He's probably younger. He's younger than me, probably. So Michael.
Maybe.
But I don't know Michael. But I grew up in Miami Beach, and but I possibly do. And it was a great area. And so growing up down there, the Canes were not that big. I go to the games in the 70s. I'm O.J. Anderson. I was a huge fan of O.J. Anderson. He was the first player I really became attached to, that I got to see this guy play. I mean, but the Canes, you saw they were really not that good. And then one day I remember in 1978, a friend of mine said, Canes going to be top 10 next couple of years. And everyone's saying, no way. That was when coach, actually, before Howard. No way. And sure enough, Coach Schnellenberger came in and started the program. I used to work in the Orange Bowl, actually. I used to vend. I'd watch the Dolphin games and the Canes games there when they both played there. So I just, my dad was a huge sports fan. Down here, there was the Canes and the Dolphins and nothing else. I mean, there was no basketball, there was no Heat, there was no Marlins, there was no Panthers, there was nothing else. And so you just had to be a fan. And my dad was a sports junkie, and he just like any good dad, that relationship, father son, when you've got it, and it's it's all. I'd call him every day at work. I'd say, Dad, give me the sport, pick him off.
Absolutely, man. I that's how I became a Hurricane fan as well, man. My dad raised me as soon as I was born. I was in Hurricane gear, man. And the minute I could walk, I was on Green Tree. So I was lucky enough to build some relationships with former players because of my father, and he's the reason why I'm a Hurricane fan. That he's the reason why my son's middle name is Kane. You know what I mean? It's all about the U. So
hey,
I
Brett,
love that when people say their kid's name is Kane or Sebastian. It's cool.
Yep.
Sorry, Paul.
Hey, Brett, I got to ask you, man, since you're from the beach, where would you go, Wolfie's or Rascal House?
I love Rascal House. Rascal House is awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
Go play some games at Nathan's. But Rascal House is awesome. They'd have that line out. So I like Wolfie's a lot. There was Pumpernickel. But Wolfie's is good, but Rascal House is the king, I think.
That was your go-to spot? All right, man.
Are you from Miami Beach? You know Miami Beach, obviously.
No, my grandma's lived there. Yeah, my grandma's lived there forever. So I'm always there.
I grew up four blocks from the beach. But the park was right next to our house. We were playing all the time, and it was just awesome. So it was a great place to grow up. It was so I love those times. So.
Hey, Brett, what's your favorite Canes story of all time, man? You've been following the Canes for so long. What was your favorite moment that you just love sharing for everyone?
My favorite moment that I love sharing for everyone. Let's see. There's been so many. Let me think real quick. I was blessed to go to several national championship games. So I'd say the first national championship, without a doubt, the more I think about it, was it. My dad was there, and my dad just passed in the end of February. So it always, any moments I've had with him, even more. So he would take me to all the games as a kid. By the way, I'd go. He worked at a place in Miami, a seafood restaurant called Jumbo's, and I'd go over there and we get the fried shrimp. And we go to the games, but for the national championship against Nebraska, it was just going up there. Everybody's so pumped, so excited, and we were big 14-point underdogs in that game. And to go to that game, we didn't have the best seats. We're in the corner, surrounded by a bunch of Nebraska fans, and it was just amazing just to be able to go ahead and be there, that experience. And when we won that game, when Kenny Calhoun knocked away that 2-point conversion, and the place just erupted. That was the greatest Canes experience of my life. I mean, little did I know that it would lead to 5 championships, which obviously could have been more, but 5 championships. That was the greatest moment. Just the energy, the excitement. I was to several Orange Bowl games growing up. I was at the couple of Super Bowls growing up in that stadium, and but to go to that game and see the Canes in the national championship after seeing so many other Orange Bowls with Oklahoma and Nebraska, and even seeing Florida State, and seeing every other team, to have your team playing there. We didn't know it was for a national championship at that time, obviously, but to be there, the energy, it was phenomenal. That was by far that was my best moment I can remember.
Hey, Brad, I'll be honest with you, man. I think the darkest moment of my life was when I went to the last game of the Orange Bowl, and man, it was just after the game, it just didn't feel right, man. It was like a piece of my childhood, a piece of Miami was
faded
gone
away.
forever. I was walking back to like where we parked, and I kept looking away at the stadium. I was like, is it really over? This is it. This is the last call.
It was just it was that one moment of disappointment where it's like, can we have it back just one more time, like, and just redo this? It reminded me of the clip in Sandlot, right, where they're almost about to get the ball, and then the whole playhouse just gets knocked down, and you see that kid like walk out of the house with like all smoke over him, and like all the kids are just like, wow, well, what do we do next? Like, you got to do something. Like, this couldn't be real. There was no way. I agree, man. It was tough to watch.
Definitely surreal. That place had so many great moments, so many great games. I mean, not just the Canes, but just so many other great games. I mean, the Super Bowls that were there, I mean, it was just amazing, that place. It just had, it just had so much history. I mean, sad days. To me, those were the tough. Those were his tough days. That game was to me, even though I had a few years that have been bad since. I mean, but that year to me just seemed like the implosion of the program. It was just going downhill there.
I got a question for both of you guys. I'll start it off with Brad first. Hey, last time we were in a national stage, I'll give it 2003. Miami beats Florida State in the Orange Bowl, modern day Hard Rock Stadium. We beat Florida State twice that season. How do we get so low as a program? Where did it start? How can we fix it? Because it's been 18 years of just disgusting football. We're all tired of it, and we're fed up. And I never pictured the blue blood of college football getting this low. Brad,
unfortunately, man, it goes with a lot of things, man. The first one is consistency. You got to be consistent on the football field, and that is something that we are one of those teams where we just don't have that swagger anymore, man. Unfortunately, when you talk about the you have to bring back the past. You can't talk about the current, because we just didn't. We either don't have the coaching staff, or we didn't have the guys at the time that just knew what it meant to wear that U on their helmet, right? I mean, we talk about how these kids are playing on the field as far as these other opponents, but when Miami was great, they didn't worry about the opponents. They worried about their teammates on Green Tree, right? The toughest competition at all times was Green Tree. It was never Clemson. It was never Notre Dame. It was never these other teams that were playing. I mean, the fact that we went from Green Tree to losing to FIU, having a scoreless Louisiana Tech game. I mean, we were the only team in college football last year in a bowl game to not have any points. I mean, that's laughable. That is something that the Miami Hurricanes should not be used to. Not only that, I mean, when is Miami ever not relevant, right? The Miami Hurricanes is always relevant. It's just most of the time lately, it hasn't been in a good way. But the U is always going to be relevant. Now is the time to actually be relevant in a good way. So I think the times are changing.
And I think we've always been behind in funding. You know, we've always trying to go on like the low budget way because it's worked in the past. But you know what? Modern day football, you can't go low budget. You got to go full house with your coaching staff. You got to really invest into your athletic facilities. And I think Miami was always behind because of that. And it's cost them a lot. Is Brett still with us?
I don't know.
Here, hold on a second. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see my box. Do you see me?
No,
we don't see it either.
What did I do?
We can hear you though.
Shout out to Miss T, by the way. I hope your surgery's going well.
Miss T, thank you very much for the kind. T, you're the best. Thank you very much for the beautiful comment. How do I get back on there? Any chance? Let's see. Do I hit Mike, Cam, Mike, chat?
Cam. All right.
I think you're coming.
Am I back on? Let's see. What happens? That Cam shuts me off. Okay, so you got me?
Yo, we got Lovo on as well. If you guys don't know about Gabriel Lovo Productions, the kid out of Belen Jesuit, man, probably brings out the freshest highlight tapes for every single player, future Miami Hurricanes and current Miami Hurricanes.
Thank you, Paul.
And thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you.
Sir.
And then Brett's trying to figure it out with the cameraman. But Brett, kind of give your take on what's been going on around the program.
All right, let me see here. So I'm here. My take on the program, the big thing is when I talk to former players, I think it's leadership we haven't had in for several years, and we haven't had. I just think someone to lead. I mean, you look at all the great teams, and we've had leaders. I mean, we haven't had that. So when I talk to players, it's like, okay, in the past, it's like you just can't put on the Miami uniform and think, okay, we're going to be national champions. They need to work for it. I mean, it's a 24/7, 365 for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know, but it's something that hasn't happened that we haven't been able to win. I was excited to see, when the King came here and just all the different things he was saying, and every single video he's out there. It's every video on social media is about him playing or him getting better or him throwing the ball or him working out or teammates. It's just we need leadership. So it's all we get leadership. We're going to win. And it's not just leadership, it's coaching. I think leadership on the field. But I think that goes hand in hand. So if we have that to me is the biggest thing, because it's been too long. Like you said, why did we win 15 games in a row, beat Notre Dame, go to number 2, and then just fall apart? What happened? I mean, we lost the game against Pittsburgh, and then we spiraled downhill. Why last year we had like 3 seasons. We couldn't win. Then we won those 3 games in a row. We looked like we were dominating in the Orange Bowl that game when Jayden threw 6 touchdowns. We said, we're back. We're going to be phenomenal. Nobody's going to beat us now. We finally figured out this offense. And then we go on to lose. Then we lose those last 2 games, flaming out. So I don't know. I just think leadership is all about. We need the can-do attitude. We need to just work through it. And that's, I think, the things that we need to become a great team again.
Definitely, man. You got we need a leader, and we need a all-around quarterback. I think that's 2 things that we have not had at Miami in a very long time. And you look at all the other dominant teams in college football now, they have a great quarterback who's also a leader of the football team. And that's just something that we haven't had in a while. I mean, we go back, and it seems like the last good quarterback that we honestly had was probably Stephen Morris. And I mean, the last athletic quarterback we had was probably Malik Rozier. And Malik Rozier came in as a baseball player. And you look at every other quarterback we've had, anytime the pocket collapsed, they were shook, man. Look at a guy like Brad Kaya, who we all thought was going to be a phenom. Anytime that pocket collapsed, he went down before someone even touched him. So, I mean, having a guy like D'Eriq King, who is not only a leader, but can use his legs the right way, is going to be a tremendous asset. We saw what Malik Rozier did with his legs. He ended up being the second leading rusher, if not the first leading rusher, for a lot of football games for us. And he was a difference as far as using his legs. So a guy like D'Eriq King, I think you hit it on the head, man. We need a leader.
Absolutely. I think that's what it's all about. I mean, I always thought like those games against Florida State, when I first started this business, the first 7 years we're in this business, we lost every game. And we knew we had a chance. So I thought, is this just me? And we finally won the game, though. We had the amazing tip play at the end and scored the touchdown. It was a miracle. And I literally was crying. I said, we can beat this team. And it's just that, I just always said we need 2 or 3 guys that can say, we will not lose this game, no matter what. Like an Ed Reed type, Michael Irvin, we will not lose. No matter what, we will not lose. And a guy on offense, a guy on defense, a guy on special teams that refuse to lose. And I don't know if we've had that.
Hey, Lovo, man, what do you think? What were your thoughts on the Leonard Taylor commitment, man? How excited were you?
Man, that was awesome to see. I was kind of nervous, not gonna lie, because I felt like he was I thought it was gonna be a troll because I've heard like all Miami and nothing UF. So I was like, oh man, I just can't handle a troll right now. But when I heard he said Miami, I was stoked.
Yeah, no, I mean, Leonard Taylor, guys, I mean, this was a recruit that, I thought was a done deal to Florida. Then comes, all the off-field, pandemic, the dead period, basically. And, Florida was trending downward with a lot of guys from Palmetto, and then all of a sudden we're in play for a lot of highly touted recruits. Leonard Taylor comes aboard, out of nowhere. Miami's back in play. So this was awesome. Huge get. And we're finally getting elite 5-star recruits in South Florida. SEC schools will steal these guys any other year. So it really is nice to see that. And Miami was on a down. Florida won the Orange Bowl. Dan Mullen's going up. He's not going down in the wins and losses. So, huge get.
Absolutely, man. We have won head-to-head recruiting battles with pretty much every SEC team, it seems like, except probably Alabama and LSU might be the only 2 left, right? I think actually, no, LSU, Cam Kitchens was involved with LSU along with Auburn. You had Texas A&M, we beat head-to-head. We beat Florida head-to-head in recruiting. So, it seems like Alabama's the last team we need to beat head-to-head, and who else can do it with another 5-star in Jason Marshall? Should be exciting.
Brett, what are your thoughts? Oh, Brett just left. I think the connection he'll come back soon.
Okay.
But yeah, let's talk some recruiting right now. We got 140 people on with us live, 51 minutes in, man. So definitely thank you everyone for joining. Miss T did join as well. Hey, Brett, welcome back, man.
There we go.
Technical difficulties. So it's sorry about that, guys.
You're good.
But I missed.
But basically, what are your thoughts about Leonard Taylor's commitment and just overall recruiting in South Florida with the Miami Palmetto 5 and, just in general?
I just think it's phenomenal. I'd like to say, I knew exactly why, if they're coming, because it just started in steamrolling. Why does something like this happen? Does it happen because, we got the offensive coordinator, we got the coach. Manny brought everybody together. But it's Manny's second season. He's doing a phenomenal job. I just think having all these guys come. But once again, let's get the uniform on. Let's play Miami Hurricanes football like we have in the past. And let's just, leadership, win, motivation, commitment. We just need to do all those things no matter who. And these guys know, they all want to win. They're coming from winning programs. They want to win. And that's what. Let's come to Miami and win. So if you're 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, but whoever it is, once you put that uniform on, let's say the Canes are not going to lose. We're going back again to that winning program we once were.
Regarding Jason Marshall, guys, a lot of people expected his commitment this past weekend. Are we worried Alabama's back in play? Lovo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that as kind of random, that he wasn't committing soon because of the whole 24/7 I've been hearing. But hopefully he's still a Cane and will commit soon. But also, it's hard to tell Nick Saban no at the same time. So anything can happen, honestly. But hopefully he ends up being a Cane.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's one of the recruiting battles that you need to win to the end. You got to battle it out because guys like him, Avante Williams, yes, it's kind of, in the sense Miami wasn't in play. Then there are other schools that were the favorite. Now Miami was in play. Now they're not the favorite. It's that grind. It's that back and forth grind that you just got to fight to the end to get. Those are the guys that are going to change your program. Brad, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, man, it's going to come down to us in Alabama, like I feel like it has been for a while now. I feel really good about Jason Marshall. I think he's another one of those kids that want to stay home and put on for the city. Obviously, like Lovo said, man, it's hard to turn down a guy like Nick Saban. he's already proved time and time again that if you come to Alabama, you're most likely going to have a championship ring, and you're most likely going to get drafted first round. It's proof is in the pudding. And you want to talk about recent years, that is something that Miami hasn't been able to do, right? But the fact that we're able to flip these kids that are 5 stars now, we're starting to show a little bit. Now the last thing is to show wins on the football field. So we need to take one game at a time. And as much as I don't want to say this, I got to go with my boy Co, who always reminds me this anytime a kid commits. It doesn't matter until someone signs the dotted line, right? So it's all fun and games. Yeah, Leonard Taylor is committed to Miami. He shut down his recruitment. Hopefully Jason Marshall does the same. But regardless, if we win 6-7 games again this year, I promise you all these kids are not coming. So I think all we got to do is be patient. And unfortunately, with us Miami fans, we're instant gratification, right? When we want something, we want it now. And unfortunately, most Miami fans, when we get something, we don't know how to hold on to it long enough and appreciate it. We go right to the next thing, right? It's like we just knocked this off the checklist of what's next. Now it's Jason Marshall. Let's just sit back, relax, and enjoy that we finally got a 5-star defensive tackle in Leonard Taylor, who is a game changer, who is literally a generation type player. I also would love to have Jason Marshall, but let's just take one day at a time. And I think we're in for some success in the future for Miami.
Now, yeah, just to add that it's been a long time. I mean, we've got a dominating defensive tackle. The NFL was littered with Canes, from Cortez Kennedy, Jerome Brown. I mean, we had awesome Warren Sapp. I mean, just awesome defensive linemen, and it's been a while. So it's sad that we haven't been bringing them in. We got a 5-star right now. I'm just pumped, to see these guys in action.
Guys, we got 150 people joining us right now live. We got 10% off any total sale at CanesWear.com next to La Spadas, straight out of Davie. We got Chuck Mobier throwing money in the air, man. Hey, it's a great day to be a Miami Hurricane. Man, I'm ecstatic to what the future holds. Guys, is it a concern we still don't have a quarterback signed yet?
What you think, Lovo?
Well, everybody wants a QB every class, but honestly, if we can rack up these talented players that are not quarterback position, and we can maybe hit the transfer portal. I know most people don't like hitting the transfer portal because we've gotten the reputation of being transfer portal but if it can help us land some big targets that we could possibly use in the future, and then get a quarterback with experience, then I'm all with it. I'm not going with a QB, but if we get a talented QB in this class, I'm not mad at either. Either way, I'm still happy to be with this class.
I agree. But I think that once they see, the Canes in action, if it's everything we think they're going to be, and we see this offense the way it should be, I mean, guys are going to be in line to say, hey, they may change their thoughts where they're going, or think, you know what, I may be coming from a school close, coming from out west, and I'm going to come to Miami. I'm just making a stop in the midway just to go to school. You just don't know what's going to happen. I just think that once they see our offense in action, it changes everything. If that offense is how we believe it will be.
No, I completely agree. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think all we need is the offense to start clicking, man. Well, if we're able to start scoring points on people, it's going to be very scary for the rest of college football. I mean, we've had a top 10, top 15, top 20 defense the past 3 years. Now it's time to have a top 30 offense. I mean, give me that. Just top 30. I'm not even asking for top 15, top 20. Just give me top 30. I mean, and the fact that we're about to double in the amount of plays that we're going to run, that sets up nothing but more opportunities for these guys. Brett mentioned earlier about SMU. I mean, SMU, they don't have the type of talent that Miami has. And if you saw what Rhett Lashley was able to produce with those guys, it's going to be very interesting for guys like Jeremiah Payton, Mike Harley. I got a lot of faith in a guy like Mike Harley. It's his senior year. He hasn't really lived up to the expectations that we all thought coming out of St. Thomas Aquinas. But that's a guy who has always been reliable in this offense. It's just we've never really given him the ball or put him in the right situations, right? And I think that's one of the benefits to having a guy like Rhett Lashley. He's able to put every guy on that football field in the right position at the right time, and he's not allowing these guys to think too much. They're able to play fast and be able to react. Play backyard football. I think that's what these kids are used to, and I think that's what they're gonna see this year.
Hey, is Jayden Hood still in play, Brad?
No,
Jayden
100%, 100%. Jayden Hood is not gonna be a Cane. I could promise you that Jayden Hood is either gonna stay committed to Michigan or he could possibly flip to a school like Minnesota. I've heard a lot of things about him liking Minnesota as well. But I would say one of those two schools. I definitely don't see Miami in play for that. If you want to look at a linebacker, I would say Terrence Lewis could possibly be in play. Chase Smith. And then obviously you got guys like Corey Collier that Highlight just mentioned up. Tyreek Sapp could be another name. But I don't see anybody else but those names I just mentioned coming in this class. Maybe even Amari Daniels, but that's about it.
Hey, Brett, we were speaking earlier about modernizing college football. I wanted to pick your brain on this. I just thought of this recently. The image likeness bill was just passed. Governor DeSantis came to Coral Gables, signed it. How much is that going to impact players with jerseys being sold, their image being sold, and they can make a profit off of it? Do you see that as a good opportunity for your business as well, as long with the players?
I think, I was going to mention that with when we were talking about the way players can jump around in high school and now possibly college. Now with the image likeness, I think they'll even change things even more, because if you're playing, you have an opportunity to go ahead and make more money because you can get paid image likeness. So, whatever they're doing. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to come sign autographs or not. I think that's still up in the air. Like, will we do signings after a student graduates and then he goes ahead or moves on, he's going to move on to the NFL and he's no longer eligible, we can have them in the store. So will they be able to come in the store now? That's a possibility. I think that's going to be the case. Will we be able to have, with the lawsuit, I think it was Ed O'Banion that changed everything, and they dropped the 2K games, the NCAA games, and they stopped. Miami had to go away from getting like jerseys like number 52 if it was that player, or number 8 when it was Duke Johnson. So everything was just the year and the number 1. So it started in 2015, where we were lucky because 15 was Brad Kaya, and it was 2015. Last year we did number 18, and then number 19. So this year would be 20. But is next year for 2021, are they going to be allowed to have a player? Are they going to be able to allow the player with the name? That's a possibility. So I'm thinking they are going to be able to allow that. Adidas is, I'm speaking to them, and they're not sure how it's going to shake out. But if that's the case, I think they're going to have jerseys with players' names, which is what the fans have wanted for years, which means we'll sell more jerseys. So that's a great thing. So for opportunities to have the players inside the store, as well as possibly sell things with their name or picture on it, I think that's going to be a great opportunity for the fans. And obviously that means for us. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it benefits both parties as well. And a lot of money could be made in a big market such as Miami. Someone made a good point. It was Better Duck on my Canes After Dark episode. There's not a lot of college football teams in big cities. University of Southern California, UCLA, they are in that Los Angeles area per se. University of Miami obviously is in Coral Gables. It's in Miami. UCF to a certain extent, it's in Orlando. Orlando, in a sense, it is a popular vacation destination spot. But, Miami, Los Angeles, New York City are the kind of the 3 biggest cities, that kind of come to my mind when I think of big markets. You want to play for the Knicks, the Lakers, the Miami Heat. So those are big markets. So I think this can really benefit in Miami's favor. So it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward.
I think that's a great point, because a lot of these smaller areas, I think things can be swept under the rug. You can be doing things with the local car dealership or the tattoo parlor or wherever. But in Miami, the police, everything, it's a little bit different. So you really can't do things that you may be able to do in a small area. Now that these players can get paid for them, in Los Angeles, in Miami, in areas like that, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for teams like that in big cities. That's a great point.
Absolutely. And Brett, before we let you go, man, I have a question for you. We talk about all these former players that come in and current players that you have as far as signings, but there's something I wanted to ask you. We talk about the transfer portal and all these guys that transfer in, and we talk about the U as a family, right? I wanted to get your reaction or your opinion on a transfer like Jared Williams, right? A guy we just got from Houston. He was recently in your store with his family when he first got to Miami. How was someone like that when you were able to interact with him? How did he welcome you as a family, as a fan base? What are some of the things you saw differently than a player that's been homegrown from Miami and lives in Miami? Has always been a Miami fan. What's the difference between someone like that and someone like Jared Williams, who literally came across country to play for Miami?
I mean, I think, you know, when the players, when they're here, and if they're from here or not, they're very respectful. That, you know, they're just happy to be on the Canes. They're really excited. With Jared, I mean, he came in, great guy, came with his mom, just fantastic person, just warm, friendly, very talkative and everything like that. Was very excited to be in South Florida. Was very excited to be with the U, and love Coach Manning, and just a great guy all around. So I just think that people that come from another area, if it's Texas or something like that, they appreciate it. I mean, people don't really know how great this area is until they get here and they're actually here. When you get here, I mean, you can say what you want. People that live in other states or anywhere like that, it's like, Miami, South Florida, you know, that's not such a great place. But they get here and they say, wow, this is like heaven on earth. This is a beautiful place. The people are a lot better than people, you know, we're nicer than people think, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, the staff mentions it a lot, right? It's paradise. We're paradise camp for a reason. And the great thing about the city of Miami is diversity, right? You see all walks of life. You see all types of people. It doesn't matter the color, their skin, or the ethnicity. You see a little bit of everything. And we go back to the quarterbacks we got from California. But I mean, not only are we getting kids from California, we're getting kids from New York. We got a few kids from New York. We mentioned Houston and Jared Williams and De'Ara King and Ryan Rigoni. So you get kids from Houston, you got kids from California, you got kids from New Jersey. You see we got kids from Georgia as well, like kids like DJ Dallas and a few others like Ja'Kai Clark. So, I mean, we're getting kids from all over the United States. So I think that's what makes Miami a little different from everywhere else. We're a big city, but we're diverse. So we're able to adapt to everything. And I think Manny Diaz showed that tremendously with the whole movement that went on before the season started, being in the streets and supporting the community. I think you saw that firsthand. He wasn't doing it for show. He was doing it because that is his community. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, you know, they're happy to be here. They're very happy to be here. They're very happy to be with the team. And just, you know, when they come into the store and usually other fans see them or say hi, like that, it's great. So I just think they're just very excited to be here.
Absolutely.
And speaking of new guests, we got Ross the Man coming on the live show, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your night to come on, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all guys having me.
Always,
man.
brother.
Brad,
Well,
what you
Brett-
got for us, man?
No, well, Brett, it was a pleasure of you coming on. We appreciate it a bunch. And anyone watching, please make sure you go to CanesWear.com, CanesWear.com. It's the best Miami fan wear that you can get, whether it's a Miami Hurricane fan, a Miami Dolphin fan. Obviously, you Dolphin fans are very hyped about getting a guy like Tua. We got a new soccer team in Miami as well. And hey, we can't forget about my Miami Heat, man. We almost pulled up the W today. I was a little disappointed, but I think we're going to see big things from a lot of the South Florida teams this year. So if you ever want to get any South Florida teams, regardless if it's Hurricanes, Heat, Dolphins, etc., CanesWear is the place to be. Brett, we appreciate it tremendously, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. It was a great show, and thank you so much for having me. Great conversation. Remember for the show special, if you go to CanesWear.com and after your checkout screen, you type in Scoop 10, like the Scoop with the number 10, you get 10% off any item, even if it's already on sale. So I appreciate it, guys. Paul, thanks a lot. Appreciate everybody having me. Brad, and we will see you soon.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir,
it, Brett. Are you going to be there this weekend?
I'll be here there. So actually, Jeff, my manager, Saturday. Actually, I'm going to be gone because it's getting married. So congratulations, my man Jeff, who's
Congrats, Jeff.
Saturday. So hope I didn't surprise. Let his fiance know when it's a surprise. But Saturday to you. You can have a great time. All right, we're excited.
Appreciate it, Brett. Thank you so much, man. Have a great night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya. All right, everyone. That was Brett from CanesWear, man. Definitely go check him out. Straight out of Davie, Florida. Scoop 10 is the discount code. And we got Rob on the scoop. Thank you for coming on, Rob. Really appreciate it.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on, Rob?
It
All right, man.
Hey, we got the little Kane in the house. I like it. So Rob and E and Lovo are part of my Zoom crew. So we kind of do a Zoom about once a week just to chat, get a group of good fans that we talk to on a regular basis, whether it's talking schedule or recruits or just any news in general that we see on the timeline. These guys are very well invested into the program. We got my boy Lovo, who, as you guys know, do a lot of the hype videos and will currently be enrolling into the University of Miami this year as well. So congratulations to Lovo. Hopefully he gets on that big stage and he starts to work with the media team. And then you got my boy Rasta Man E, who lives in Gainesville with me as well, who has all the inside scoop on recruiting. So any recruiting questions y'all got, that's the guy to go to right there. And, of course, you got Rob. Any diehard Cane fan that has been a Hurricane fan for a while, Rob. So, I mean, he's one of the best in the business, man. I love these guys like my brothers. So let's start by talking a little bit of schedule, right? We talked about this earlier today. Rob and E, man, what were your thoughts on the schedule?
Just gotta go 1-0, man. That's all it is. Each week, go 1-0.
What you think, Rob?
I don't like that they put UNC as the last game.
Okay.
Not a fan of that.
I got you.
Kind of wanted to get them early just to get them out of the way.
No, for sure.
But we'll take what we can get. Definitely cannot take a game off. So
what about Greg Russo?
We got to treat every game.
What about the news of Greg Russo?
We can't let him down.
Should we put him in the
I'm not a fan of it, me personally. But, to each his own. It's not my business. It's his decision. Wish him nothing but the best. I just hope we don't lose another one.
Yeah, definitely. That was tough to hear about Greg, but it's his future and like his family. He was saying that he was mostly doing it for his mom to take care of her, that she's in the front line, which is awesome. And thank you for her, like putting her life in the front line.
No, for sure. And I mean, you guys brought up let's hope not another one. So let's kind of dive into this. I mean, me personally, the only guys I could really think of that would possibly follow suit of Greg Russo would probably be either Brevin Jordan or Quincy Roche. And as you followed on Twitter, I don't see either one of those guys leaving. I mean, it seems like both are hungry, both are wanting to play this year. So other than them two, man, I don't see anybody else leaving. What are some other names you guys think could leave?
I don't think nobody on the roster right now can actually, leave.
Yeah.
Like you said, Brevin, but Brevin's already killed the noise. I think Quincy is not really like a day one pick or even considered a day one pick. Bubba, I think he's great. I think he will be an elite talent in the draft, but I don't think he could risk it, especially coming off of injury. Same with like Gervin, Nesta, McLeod. Like nobody really has like the film right now to be able to take that risk. So I think everybody really needs this season. Now next season will be a little different, because these guys should have a full season under them. And if this pandemic goes on longer than this year, then maybe next year you can see a little more, opting out.
Nah, absolutely. And what were your thoughts on Davao Wilson going to UCF?
Me personally, I think it's a great spot for him.
Great for Randy.
He was committed to Randy and Bell at UF. So, it's not a surprise to me that he went there. And I think he fits the bill. He wants to go in and start. UF and UM couldn't guarantee that. So I think UCF's a great fit for him. I think he can come here and battle for a position. But as far as like guaranteeing a spot, I think he went to the right place.
Okay. Do you see something similar like in Corey Collier's situation?
What do you mean? Corey going to UCF?
Or no, Corey Collier going to a different team besides Miami because of like just fitting the scheme better or possibly just being able to play earlier. Because as we know, Corey Collier's a safety, but he may be able to play corner as well. But just looking at our safety room, man, I just think if a guy like Corey Collier came on with us, he'd be a great asset. But I just don't know where we would use him besides special teams in the first 2 years.
I mean, I mentioned before, man, I think Corey Collier reminds me a lot of Sheldrick Redwine. I think he can play corner, but I think his money spot is safety. I think he's a free safety at anything, but maybe if he puts on a little bit of weight, maybe they can move him to striker. Maybe if he stays about where he is, he can play corner for the next 2-3 years. I think he's a guy. He's a very high IQ for football. He's still 6'2", 6'3", 180 pounds. I mean, the guy can prosper in many sports or many teams around the country. Obviously UF wants him. And the way I see it, man, Corey Raymond wants the guy at LSU. I kind of believe he'll shine at Miami too.
No, absolutely. If you guys are just joining, we got another special guest. Many of y'all see him on ESPN. If you go to Miami Hurricanes football games, he's that loud old guy right by the tunnel, screaming numbers at the players. None other than Mr. Derek Coe, aka I put on for my city, aka I got a radio show on Slam Radio. Derek Coe, what's up? That's my brother right there.
Oh, what's up, fellas? What's up?
Hey, Derek, man, thank you so much for coming on, man. I love your enthusiasm and your support, man. Every time, whether Miami's up or down, man, you're always cheering on the Canes, man. And congrats on the radio show, man. That's awesome. You definitely deserve it.
Appreciate it, man. It's something that's been in the works for a while. Brad and I were supposed to try to do something at one point, and things work out different ways. But Brad's doing his thing. I got my thing with Jordan, and it's good times, man. Like right now, we're all up on the high. We're all ecstatic today with Leonard Taylor, committing, and then a couple hours later, get the bad news about Greg, and it's like, man, you go from super high to super low. But these are kids, man. They got to do what's best for them, and I'm going to support them regardless. Whatever they decide to do, I'm going to support them.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's a lot of money on the table, and we all knew he was going to be a top 5 pick. He was going to go in the first round. So, I mean, overall, look at the season and its modifications. I think overall, hey, it may play out very well for him. And I think he made a good financial decision. I thought it was very interesting how 15 minutes later, Drew Rosenhaus has him signed.
That's the hard part, right? Because listen, I'm not going to bash any agent or anything like that, but man, the person that you just named, I don't like to mention any names, but the person you just named, man, he comes and scoops on and prays on these kids from the University of Miami, man. And sometimes it works out, but man, 90% of the time it doesn't work out. I mean, you can look at McIntosh and Norton and some of these guys who left early, promising big contracts in second, third rounds, and here you going, 6th round, 7th round, undrafted free agent. Like, you got to be careful with this stuff, man, and it's unfortunate, but I think Greg's in a different situation than some of those other guys. I do think he definitely goes first round. How high he goes, that's to be determined. But yeah, I'm excited for him. But you know what? There's no drop off. I mean, listen, I've been saying this since last year. Jalen Phillips is going to blow up. People forget he was a number 1 player in the country, a few years back. And there was a reason for that. Not him, but I mean, not only him, but you got Harvey. You got other people that, and whether Quincy, I think Quincy's staying and playing, but that D line is nothing that we're not set on as far as depth. So I'm excited. You have Chance, you got Roberts, you got a lot of people that are going to fill that void right there at the D end.
Yeah. Now, my question to you, though, Coe, is you were talking about players leaving early, and I think a lot of it might have to do with either the people that are in their ear that are guiding in that direction, or part of it could just be that Miami just hasn't been that good recently, right? So, I mean, if you're a junior and you have good tape for 1 or 2 years, I mean, you're looking at a Hurricanes football team where it's like, why am I going to stay my senior year and potentially ruin my draft stock, and there's nothing really to benefit from when you look at a Miami team that hasn't been good in the past 15 years, right? So then my question to you is, what if we start getting hot, right? What if Miami starts to become this prodigy team again where we're on the map and we're winning consistently? Now what are we going to be kind of like Alabama where now we're on the other side and we're still not getting guys to go all 4 years, but instead we're just turning threes and outs over and over, but we're actually getting highly more talented guys to fill the role quicker. Because I think that was part of the problem. We would see these juniors leave early, but then the guys that would fill in weren't really ready. It was always a freshman or a redshirt freshman that would come in, and we would put all these expectations on a kid that we kind of didn't see anything from the beginning. Well, what's your take on that?
So let's go back just to this last draft season, right? Like this past season. Jonathan Garvin, like you're a junior and you come out early to go in the 7th round, literally almost dead to last pick. Like that's what you want to do? Like I would definitely come back in my senior year and at least, like, again, you can look at Brad Kaya. Like these guys wanted to come out early because they're told that they're going to go somewhere, right? Like we all knew Brad was told by 31 different teams to come back to school, but he chose to leave early, right? Like that's on the individual. That's on nobody but the individual themselves. Like when I look at people like Jonathan Garvin, he had decent tape his first 2 years. I don't think his tape last year was prevalent of what he did the previous 2 seasons. He was double teamed. He was chipped. So really, like his stats weren't that great, but you leave just to become a 7th round pick. Nah, man, at some point you have to stop and take a look back and say, you know what? I'm coming back for my senior year. I don't care who's behind me. And that's the thing, right? Whoever's behind these kids, they should have that dog mentality where they want to know, like, listen, if you're a junior and I'm a freshman, I want to have that dog mentality. Well, I'm taking your spot as a freshman, and that's the way Miami used to be. It wasn't none of this, hey, this is entitlement. Well, I'm a junior, I'm a senior, I'm going to play. Man, back in the days, it was the best man played at that position.
Definitely. And I think we're finally starting. Yeah, we're finally starting to get these kids that have that mentality now. I mean, you look at kids that from Miami Northwestern, you look at the kids from Palmetto, they got this mentality where it's like, you look at the interview that Terminator X from Caneville had with Leonard Taylor. He was all about playing early, man. He wants to go somewhere where his name and his recognition could be shown ASAP. He doesn't want to sit a year or two. He wants to play right away. And we talk to these Miami Northwestern kids like Khalil Brantley, Tim Burns Jr. These kids are built for this, man. These kids are dogs. They don't want to play Notre Dame. They want to play Georgia. They want to play Alabama. They're not looking for these easy ride outs. They want to play the best of the best. And I think that's where we need to get back to. We need to have that swagger and that chip on our shoulder and prove it to everybody.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I think it starts with the mentality of the individual. Like your coaches can only coach you up so much, right? You either have it or you don't have it. And again, I think that's what separated Miami in early 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Those guys just wanted it more, man. It was different. Like those guys saw what they were coming from, the environment they were living in. They wanted to better themselves. And a lot of these kids, they were kind of getting passed over by other schools. So they had a chip on the shoulder. They wanted to prove everybody wrong. Look, I'm going to come in there. I'm going to smack you in the mouth. I'm going to go get mine. And I'm going to make it to the league. And I'm going to, take care of my family for, however long I have to. It's just different. I think the last, several years, man, social media has made these kids into prima donnas. Like, again, I don't care what you're ranked. Like, you still got to prove it on the field. Miami's have so many 5-star recruits that have just been bust, right? Like, again, I don't care. I'd rather you have a 1-star mentality and go in there and earn it and work for it than be a 5-star and walk, say, oh, I don't feel like practicing. I'm a 5-star. Like, nah, man, that's not the way it should be. And then your coach has got to be held accountable for that too.
Some of the greatest players to ever wear a U helmet that we call the greats were nothing but 2 or 3 stars, man. So the stars don't matter.
You give me people with the type of heart that Jimmy Murphy had, right? Like I would like to see our 5-star and our high 4 stars have the type of heart, attitude, and work ethic that people like Jimmy Murphy have and some of these other walk-ons, because it means more to these kids,
When was the last time we had like a legit outspoken leader at the quarterback position? That's something that I want to see at Miami as well. Like you said, a guy like Jimmy Murphy, kind of with that Tim Tebow personality, man. When it came on the field, like, he took over the huddle. And I feel like, guys of the past, they weren't that vocal leader we saw on the field. And I'm missing that as well at the quarterback position. So I hope De'Aaron King, does bring that. Because I think that's true, man. Like leadership, it wasn't there. You're the quarterback, you're the leader of the team. DJ Dallas, he did an interview recently. He said there was too many Chiefs in a sense, not too many Indians. And, I think to be a leader, you need to follow first. And then you need to understand what it takes to be a leader. So that I think you're right, Deco. That is something Miami is missing in that heart of Jimmy Murphy.
Absolutely. Hey, question for you, man. Who's your favorite recruit in the 2020 class that's currently on the football team that just came in?
Brian Balom.
Brian Balom. Why? That's a good answer, because I feel like a lot of people forget about Brian Balom. That they look at all the other safeties, and that's one of the guys that they tend to leave off. Tell us why Brian Balom.
I mean, kid, the dog. He's very underrated. His measure, like he's a big guy. Like he's not 5'11", 5'10", which is what we're used to getting. But a guy also runs like a 4.4, 4.5 speed. He has the same measurements and stuff that Avonte Williams has. He's just bigger. He didn't camp as much as all the other guys. He didn't come in highly rated. He was some kid that just flew under the radar. And if you go back to what you were just speaking on, you want a guy that comes in with a chip on his shoulder. You don't want a guy that has that 5-star mentality. And I think that's what he's going to bring to the table. I think he actually sees the field early.
Definitely, I could see him playing like special teams. Right? Like, I mean, obviously he'll get playing time on defense, but that's one of those kids where I could see him flying on special teams, knocking somebody's head off.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Rob? What about you, Rob?
Rob's still out there chasing bees.
Yo, I like Avonte, man.
You like Avonte?
Yeah, man.
That's just different,
that's the
right?
kind of player we need here in Miami.
Absolutely. Who's someone that he reminds you of in the past?
He's gonna make a difference. I'm telling you, man. His mentality, he's just gonna come and attack this.
Who's never
on Twitter. He's never on any of that. That man is about his business.
No, you're right. Absolutely. Who's a player you relate him to?
He's not into any of that. That guy's gonna come in and he's gonna put on a show. But I'm excited for that.
What about you, Ko?
I like them all, man. It doesn't matter. Like, look, once you put the helmet on, I'm rooting for you. So I got no expectations because, again, you get all these high expectations and they let you down. Then you're like, man, that kid did this wrong or the kid's a bust. So I'm going to say all of them, man. Like, again, you put the helmet on, someone just did it. I was going to say that. Like Michael Redding, man, I think he's going to be a dog, man.
Yeah.
Like, his route running, his hands, he's a baller, man. I just want to see our receivers produce more because I feel like we have so much talent, and I just think our receivers, again, we're talking about like coming in recruits, but like I think people like Mike Harley has a breakout year this year, man. I just think there's guys like that actually can finally live up to their full potential,
Absolutely.
But if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Redding. I think Redding's gonna have, or Elijah Roberts too. I like him on the defense side of the ball too. So
yeah.
Hey.
What about you, Lovo? You made videos for all these kids. Who's your favorite?
Oh, he's going.
Yeah. Cole knows my answer, but
I don't want to be like I don't want to just say like Rooster because I think Rooster literally probably has the best of all the freshmen. But I just wanted to kind of throw some other names out there.
Nah, but besides Don, like that I have high expectations for is probably Xavier Restrepo. He has like that dog mentality that we need on the team. Like being friends with Don, he tells me like that him and like X kind of like are the leader of the group, and like they always like, oh, we have to make it count. Like we can't let this opportunity pass up. We got to make it count for the team.
I don't remember what recruit it was, but someone on Twitter was like, one of the things that like I loved about being committed to Miami was like they had this group chat, I guess, and one of the kids was like every single day Xavier Restrepo would mention to all the kids, today we got to be great, today you got to be in the gym. Like he reminded these other kids who weren't even committed on the team yet, like, hey, we gotta do something about it. Today's the day. He reminded these kids every single day, and he went out and did it. Like you said, he's a hard worker, he's a dog, he's very smart. I think people relate him to Braxton Berrios, man. I think he could actually see the field and be a little bit more productive than Braxton Berrios was early on. I think Braxton Berrios didn't really get his shine until his sophomore, junior year. You look at a kid like Xavier Restrepo, man. Now that we're finally starting to play in the spread, that's a kid that could definitely make a lot of noise.
Well, you know, the thing too is like you can talk the talk, right? But I think he walks that walk. I think he wants to lead by example. You know, he wants to get out on the field and lead. You know, look, man, I'm gonna put the work in. I'm gonna be out here at 5 a.m. I'm gonna be out here at 4 a.m. You know, I want you guys to be out here with me. If you can get a young cat like that lead by example, you know, again, we all understand that like attitude reflects leadership, right? So if you can get one person just to be the core nucleus of that 20 class, and they can follow him. Like, man, who knows what can happen with that 20 class? And then again, these younger cats coming in 21, you know, again, they got to be held accountable to the upperclassmen too. Like, if they're not putting the work in, that's where the upperclassmen need to step in and say, look, man, you guys aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, if we have a standard here at the University of Miami, that's what you guys need to follow. And if not, y'all need to kick rocks. You know, like, I feel like you got to have somebody who's willing to be confrontational to your teammates. Like, it is what it is. At some point, you got to be able to get your teammates' face and hold that man accountable.
Yep. Accountability, man.
I mean, look, what's one of the best phrases that we ever heard on YouTube, right? Ed Reed told people, Joaquin say dominate, and y'all not doing it, right? So again, that's the accountability. Ed Reed told his team that you're not doing what Joaquin said that we needed to do, right? Yeah. So sometimes you have to be vocal, and you have to vocalize what needs to be said. Sometimes it might hurt someone's feelings, but you know what? They went out there that second half and put that work in.
No, absolutely. Paul, who's your favorite 2020 recruit?
Favorite 2020 recruit, man. I like Keyshawn Smith. I'm gonna throw his name out there. First off, he was a late grad, man. Like, we literally got him like less than a week before signing day. Also, he was committed to Washington State. Like, Mike Leach has a great offense out in the West Coast. You know, any recruit that he does sign, you know, with the Rhett Lashley offense, you know, it's a little bit different, but we're going to go fast paced. The goal of the Rhett Lashley offense is to score in 4 plays. So a fast receiver like Keyshawn Smith, they went under the radar in the West Coast from the San Diego area. You bring him to Miami, playing this fast-paced offense, man, look out for him. He could be a very key player and could develop down the line. Sometimes those 3-star recruits that you get at the last minute come out to be the best players in the class. Also, Tyler Van Dyke, due to the importance of the quarterback position, man. Like, we've only had, since Brock Berlin, he's the only quarterback to get a start in the NFL. That is it. Brock Berlin. The development of Tyler Van Dyke is so important at Miami. With Rhett Lashley, what he did with a Texas reject with Shane Buechele turned him into a college football star this upcoming season. Man, I'm excited to see what we can do with Tyler Van Dyke. I know he comes from Connecticut. Dan Orlovsky, Steve Young are the best quarterbacks to come out of there. It's more of a basketball state. But, hey, man, let's see what the Connecticut kid has coming for us. Last Northeast quarterback I think we grabbed, Vincent Testaverde, ended up pretty damn well. So, hey, we'll see what happens.
Touche.
So, Brad, can I chime in on that or what?
Go ahead, man.
So, Paul, like I am 100% a TBD fan, man. Like for like the last couple of months, man, Brad and some of these guys, man, they're all up on Jake Garcia. And I'm like, no way, man. Like, I will ride with TBD any day over Jake Garcia. So it's been a good debate on how this is gonna work out. But I literally think TBD can literally shine, man. He can spin the ball. He's got, you know, good mobility, big kid, big arm. Like, I'm all for it, man. Definitely all for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think just getting this year under his belt, learning from De'Ara King, man, I think he can develop really nicely. And he may not even get the nod against Alabama. It may be another quarterback, but I think just develop him in the system, man. You may, in the long run, it may pay off very well. And Miami's due for a quarterback, man. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he's gonna have a year under his belt under Rhett Lashley and watch a leader like De'Ara King know how to manage the huddle the right way, and he could literally just sit there and learn. And the fact that you're not having to learn the playbook a lot, right? I mean, that's something that all these players have mentioned. Learning the playbook is a lot easier now. You're not having to think too much, and that goes back to what Ko was saying earlier about our receivers. I think you saw a lot of drop balls last year. Could it be because they were just dropping balls, or could it be that they were just thinking too much, right? When you got a lot on your mind, some of the easy things that seem so simple that you do all the time, they start to go through the back of your mind because you're overthinking, right? So I think a lot of these receivers could have been that they were dropping balls because they were thinking about what route they had to run, or if they were running the right route, right? Now that you have these easy scripted plays, you could go out and not have to think. So I think that definitely gets a testament to that. Someone brought up earlier about Terrence Lewis. That's E and Co. That's right up your alley. Let's go. So, well, what's your thoughts on Terrence Lewis?
What do you mean? Like, do I think he's gonna be in the class, or what are my thoughts on him?
Well, let's go with both. So first, give us your profile recruiting on Terrence Lewis, what he brings to the table, and then what you think about him possibly being a Hurricane.
T2, man, is like arguably the best linebacker in the country. I mean, by far. I'm not big on rankings, but the kid is phenomenal. He can literally do it all. He can plug the middle. He can get out in coverage. He's physically gifted. He's actually smart on the field. His IQ is pretty high. He can react to plays. He's actually a leader. If we talked to Cam Kitchens, we talked to, Tim Burns, and they've all said that, T2 is one of the most active on the team, especially on the defense side of the ball. So I mean, I think you're literally, if he was to come to Miami, I would probably put him as our starting middle linebacker. The kid has all the tools. As far as being in this class, I'm gonna just say that's up to T2.
Okay.
If he wants to be in this class, I think he's in this class.
What about you, Co?
You already know my take on that, man. I'm a T2 fan. I've been hyping him up. Me and he talk about the same thing, man. Like, there's no way if he wanted to be in this class and it was mutual, he would, like, literally after this year, he would be your starting like linebacker for 3 years. Right? Him and Brooks side by side again. Like, it's different, man. Like, let me tell you, man. I say if T. Lou comes, you get rid of that striker position. You roll me T. Lou, Brooks, and Huff. Like, that's 3 solid linebackers on a 4-3. Like, you ain't got to worry about your linebackers. It's different.
T. Lou is like a Denzel Perryman and Sean Spence in the one. You know what I mean? He's like a physical specimen. That he's another generational player. And like,
okay, but you're talking about those guys, man. You can kind of maybe almost compare him to someone like Jesse Armstead. Yeah. Like, he has that type of ability and that type of physical like stature where, like, you don't find these type of linebackers too often, man. I was talking today. I had a chance to talk with Benny Blades, and one of my favorite linebackers that no one really gives a lot of hype to, like over the like early, late '80s. I mean, I'm sorry, '90s was Bernard Clark. Like, have you ever seen the size of Bernard Clark? Yeah, like big. It's just. It's different, man, and like you only get these type of athletes every so often, like the James Williams. And,
Sean Taylor, man, it's another one.
Granted, but you only get these type of individuals every so often. If you can lock them down, by all means, man, you lock them down.
Definitely,
you can't let these kids get away, man.
Yeah, absolutely. A name that comes up a lot in Paul and I's videos is Jayden Hood. Well, how would you compare Terrence Lewis to Jayden Hood, and what are the chances of Jayden Hood even thinking about Miami?
He went double goose egg.
Listen, Miami fans just need to worry about somebody else. I love Jayden. I think he's another monster, linebacker, but he fits Michigan's, linebackers. Like, if you look at what Michigan produces at linebacker, I do. But the biggest threat for Jayden, I mean, is Minnesota. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Just we need to focus more on like T2 and Chase Smith.
Would you be able to say like that Jayden Hood in this class was like our Ruben Hippolyte of last class, like that linebacker that we kind of should have had and never followed through or got onto him early enough to where he kind of just
because if Miami was to even give Ruben the green light, he would have been a Cane. Jayden had the green light. He just chose Michigan over Miami, which is and like I said, it's understandable. Miami had 3 linebackers in this class, and even though like Michigan's had like 10 over the course of 2 years, Jayden can go up there and start, and I really believe that. So, and sometimes it's good for these kids to get out of South Florida, not all the time they fit what ACC or SEC defenses produce. Sometimes they're a Big Ten guy, you know. So, and I think he's a Big Ten linebacker.
Absolutely. Lovo, man, let's get you back involved, man. You do a lot of videos and edits for recruits and whatnot. If there is one name that could hit your phone right now, send you a text and say, Lovo, I need to edit. Who do you want it to be right now?
Well, well, I've never done like a commitment video, so that would be pretty cool to do. So like, let's say if like Jake Garcia decided to flip,
Oh my gosh.
that would be awesome. I know Cole's not a big fan of Garcia, but it would just be like cool to get like the hype to make the video.
For sure.
I just don't see what the hype is on Jake Garcia. Like honestly, I don't see it.
I tell you what, Lovo, if you end up doing a Jake Garcia video, man, you're gonna have to use a lot of travel miles, man. So you're gonna have to get California, Georgia, Jacksonville, and Miami all in one video.
Well, I already made one for him. Meanwhile, you were off Twitter, like social media. I made one for him. I don't know if you've checked it out.
Okay, I'll have to.
Yeah.
Hey, question for you, man. What are your thoughts on Amari Daniels? Do you think he's able to get in this class, or are numbers too tight?
I mean, I think he can get in. Obviously, things have to work out in certain ways, but I definitely would take him. I mean, I've been Amari Daniels fan, man, since he was a freshman in high school. The kid is I would just love to have him in my class. Like I would make room. There's a couple kids I would drop and put Amari Daniels in my class.
You bring up the word drop, man, and who are some? I mean, I don't want to give out any names, but you think we will have to drop kids, or do you think we're able to make room for all these kids because of the 85 scholarships? I think I read earlier today on Twitter that even if they make this 85 scholarship thing true, I think we're already up to like 82 guys, even considered all the walk-ons that we gave scholarships to. So I think you're only looking at 3 more extra spots, anyways.
But you still can like, again, throw them on a track scholarship, or there's different things you can do to get some people in. You got to remember, Santana Moss came in as a track guy. You know what I mean? So like, listen, them guys know what they're doing. If they want somebody in, they're gonna make it work.
Get them in.
They're gonna make it work.
Someone they can maybe give like a track star of scholarship if they were to do that. Maybe like Tim Burns, because I heard like he does track and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You got Tim. You got Malik. I mean, you got a lot of guys that run track, man, that you can definitely do some things and help out. So, but like Coach said, man, if the coaches know what they're doing, this isn't their first go around, and if they want a kid, they'll find room for him.
All right.
I like Amari. Like, so Brad, like, he's talking about like since his freshman year of high school. Like, I was fortunate enough to kind of watch, Amari when he was playing pop over here at for Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes and stuff, and again he was playing with like little Earl, like Earl Jr. and but they had a squad, man, and again talking with Benny Blades today, we talked about Amari, because when they were first over at Mills Pond with the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes, look, Benny saw all these kids, man. Benny is a huge staple in the community in Fort Lauderdale, man. And he's trying to build it back up to to do it the right way. It's sad to hear like you got Pop Warner kids like literally getting paid and being like recruited to go to different cities, in 6th grade and stuff. So it's definitely kind of surreal to see how young, we talk about the bags in high school and stuff, but it's pretty bad that it's trickling down into the middle school. But it's if you're a baller, they're gonna find you, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
100%.
Paul, what you got, man?
Man, I'll start off with the Terrence Lewis. Had just some comments on that, man. Physically, he's very advanced for his age. If he's 17 or 18 years old, Denzel Perryman was very advanced as well. So was Torian Charles. If you guys remember that, I believe there was some issues going on. If you guys remember him at Miami Northwestern, X did say Terrence Lewis was as talented as Willie Williams. I've heard multiple stories of the same genesis of what the story was. I'm not going to comment on it because I wasn't there. So I don't know the situation, but ultimately, man, I think everyone deserves a second chance in life, especially if you're under the age of 18. So
100%.
Give him a shot, surround him with positive people around him. And if he did something bad, make him apologize, and kind of just change him as a person, because everybody needs positive influence around them. So I think it'll be a great opportunity, and it seems like it'll be an easy flip. I don't think he wants to go to Tennessee, even though they have a great staff moving forward. Another name to look out for, everyone raves about Keith Brown, man, out of Miami Central. I think in this offense, Amari Daniels as well will be electrifying, but Keith Brown, man, will be a great addition. Look out for him, man. I really think if we can bring on both of those guys, I know it's a gamble, but, we need to get the ball rolling offensively. The defense, there's never been a bad defense only under Mark D'Onofrio at Miami. So defense usually isn't the issue, so defense is going to be here.
So a lot of people don't realize too with Keith Brown, he's just as dynamic on defense too. He can play cornerback with the best of them.
Yeah,
and that goes back to guys like Chase Smith and Jason Marshall, guys who are pure athletes who can do more than one position. And going back to you guys, I got a tough question for y'all. I'm gonna give you 3 names, and you got to pick 2 of them, right? So Chase Smith, Terrence Lewis, and Keith Brown. Pick the 2.
Who I take?
Yeah.
Chase Smith and T2.
I say Lewis and Chase Smith.
So let me can I just touch back on what Paul was talking about T. Lou? One of the things is, listen, he's a young kid. Things happen, right? But I think who Miami has in place. Let's look who Miami has in place. Telly Lockett, DVD, Cooney, Pata. All these guys literally can sit and take T. Lou and nurture him and bring him underneath their wings. Look at Pata. His brother was murdered, right? Cooney, staple in the community. Telly Lockett, Florida State is retarded for letting him go, but thank you so much for letting him come back. But I mean, there's guys there that literally can take T. Lou, bring him underneath their wings, and make sure that he does what he's supposed to do and help him. Who else is there? Ed Reed. It's another person that you have there that can say, hey, listen, young man, let me walk you through this. Let me show you what's going on. Let me teach you the right ways. Sometimes you just need somebody to show you some type of love till you understand until you get it. You know what I mean? Sometimes tough love isn't always the right way to go. You can't brand a kid and punish a kid for something that they did. Otherwise, we'd all be in trouble. We've all made mistakes. Who are we to sit there and judge somebody when we got, who's judging us? You know what I mean? So I say you give the kid a chance. If he wants to be here, I think that he has plenty of people in his corner that would definitely take care of him.
Well, and then just to touch on that too, a lot of people don't realize nobody knows what happened behind the scene. What if the kid's actually, what if he already got his, his mentor, or he's got help, or he learned from his mistake? Who cares? Just move the fuck on. Let it go. That's how I see it. Let it go. Happen.
Definitely.
So,
but going back, Brad, T. Lou.
T. Lou. So I mean, I'm getting the vibe where T. Lou. We talk about all these other names: Chase Smith, Mason Smith, Keith Brown, Tyreek Sapp, Jake Garcia. It almost seems like T. Lou, if he's available and both parties are welcome, it seems like T. Lou is at the top of the list, right? We just lost. Someone just mentioned losing Ja'Cory Hammett. That opens up a spot at linebacker now, right? You still got Troutman. So we'll see.
But what's the deal with Troutman's grades? Is he going to be eligible? There's some talk. Again, there's some of the other things too, like Hammett. I heard there was some potentially issues with grades. Don't know if it's true or not. Just kind of heard there was some potential there. Again, Miami is not the easiest school to get into academic wise. You know what I mean? So. There's probably more behind the scene that we know. It might have been a mutual thing. We don't know. But I don't know, man. But everybody you just named, I'm sure E would agree why I take T. Lou in a heartbeat.
Yep.
I wouldn't even put Keith in the top 3. Personally. He's the same player as Rashard. So
okay.
I would definitely put Amari before I put Keith. And I love Keith. Don't get me wrong. Keith is a monster. He's actually one of my top players. It's just I'm not taking 2 of the same players when it's not a big need.
Okay.
No, Bashard, again, Bashard's a great athlete. But again, you got somebody in the same, with Paul and George. They're kind of very similar. So it's how many of those people are you taking? You know what I mean? You just can't have a drawer full of those type of players.
No.
Yeah,
again,
Sean last year.
Yeah, and again, somebody like T. Lou, it's a completely different ball game, man. Again, those are once in a few years that you see that type of athlete come around.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like we're starting to get a few of those now, right? I mean, we just got Vontae Williams. Before that, we had Greg Russo, who came out of nowhere and became a phenom. And then we just landed James Williams and now Leonard Taylor, man. 2 more generational players that you might not see in a very long time. And it seems like every year, man, we have some of the pieces, but we don't have all the pieces. It needs to come a time where all the pieces come to a puzzle, and we start to see the bigger picture. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, let's I want to get this in real quick, man. The schedule released at 9 a.m. We got Clemson after a bye week. We don't have Rousseau anymore. Does this change our outcome, guys, going into the season, or is it the same prediction you had before?
To me,
Go ahead, E.
To me, Clemson's week 5. My focus is UAB. To be honest with you, I like many things can happen within 6 weeks. That's something I would if I'm Manny Diaz and the coaching staff, I'm worrying about during the bye week. Same with the players. I mean, they just had a player that's redshirting this year. That's a potentially one of the best defensive ends in the country. And that just happened within these next couple weeks. So I mean, who knows if Trevor Lawrence or Travis Etienne, there's so many different pieces that can happen in a 6-week period. I think with the schedule releasing, the main thing right now is just UAB, because UAB is actually a good team. They perform well.
They're
dynamic. Struggled last year. I mean, there's so many things that we as the team needs to focus on UAB. To be honest with you, can't overlook anybody.
Yeah, you mentioned UAB. They have 9 starters on each side of the ball that come back this year.
Returning, yeah.
Yep, their quarterback though threw for 15 interceptions last year. But they do have 2 defenders that are coming back this year with at least 9 or 10 sacks. So that's something else to look out for, man. Our offensive line is going to get tested early. We'll see what happens, and then I mean, right after that, you got a team like Louisville who can easily run up the score as quick as us. You got Tutu Atwell. So we all know a kid like that who's in our own backyard who can blow up a touchdown at any moment. You got FSU right after that. Obviously, it's a rivalry game. It's a game that we always got to be ready for. But then you look after that Florida State game, we got our bye, right? We look at previous years and how do we come off of a bye, and it hasn't been well. So that's where you're going to see the difference between Dan Enos and Rhett Lashley, hopefully, being able to game plan. You look at a guy like Rhett Lashley, who was at SMU, was at UConn, so he has players who aren't as talented as Miami. And then you look at him at Auburn, he was able to game plan for some of the big games like Georgia, Florida, LSU, and he was having to do that on back-to-back weeks. So hopefully this is something that doesn't put him in unfamiliar territory, and we see a little bit of difference. What do you think about it, Co?
Well, I think of 2 things, right? I don't think, and again, I don't like to knock or bash any kids, but I think the difference is in our quarterback position. I think we talk about leadership, right? And again, I think you look past any game. I think it's one game at a time. You never know what can happen. Injuries. I mean, look, you think we came in last year thinking we were going to blow out Central Michigan. You win by 5. I mean, it's like, come on, man, right? UAB, I think, is a better opponent than someone like Central Michigan. So you got to be up for that game. But I think as you progress into the weeks, like I told you from day one, you give me Clemson somewhere around week 5, week 6. You got to be able to have continuity and consistency. You had 4 practices in the spring. Now you might probably have maybe 3-4 weeks of practice to get ready for someone like Clemson. Like, that's going to be tough. But if you tell me you got an extra 4 or 5 weeks to get ready for them, and now you have stability at the quarterback position, your offensive line is now used to the scheme that Lashley is running. I think that definitely does help you moving forward. Hard part is it's in Death Valley. It's going to be loud, not because there won't be no fans in there, but I mean, it's still going to be crazy, right? Like, it's still Clemson. Whether or not, Trevor Lawrence plays or NTM plays, you got to prepare for as if they were going to play, right? But I think your schedule is so set up for you really to make a run. And I really like one of my favorite games is UNC, the last game of the year. Like, man, I hope it's a nighttime game. Like, let's go. Like, line them up, punch him in the mouth, and let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, what's your thoughts on like comparing Chase Smith to Terrence Lewis? Do you see there any similarity between the two?
No.
No.
One's an athlete.
Chase Smith can play all over. He can play corner, he could play safety, he could play striker, he could play linebacker. I would take both of them, man. I'm big on both of the guys. But if you had to give me one or the other, I'm still going T. Lou, man. I mean, I love T. He's a monster, bro. And then he plays, at Northwestern. So he comes from a winning tradition. He's coming in with his brothers. Those dudes literally work out every day together. And that's not to knock Chase Smith, because I'm sure he's doing the same. And he's a legacy kid. But I personally, I hope we take both of them. I do.
Okay.
But they're not the same player.
So let's put a scenario where worst possible scenario. Let's say Jason Marshall doesn't commit to Miami. Corey Collier doesn't follow suit, doesn't commit to Miami. We still have Leonard Taylor. Does that change the scenario for a guy like Chase Smith or Mason Smith, who are high on the radar? If they see a miss from Miami, obviously we're on a hot streak, so we haven't missed yet. So how is your perspective on these kids if Miami was to finally miss on a 5-star like Jason Marshall out their backyard? Do you think that kind of ruins the chances of these other guys, or do you think we settle for someone just like Amari Daniels in this class?
You want to go, Cole?
I think it's an individual decision, right? If Jason Marshall wants to go to, say, to Alabama, then he goes to Alabama. I don't say necessarily think Miami misses on him. Again, you might as well throw like Brooks from Booker. Like, why aren't you out there trying to chase him still? Like, I think it all depends on the individual. You get a feeling for these guys, whether or not they're really, really interested in your program or they're not, right? I don't think it changes for other people. I think every individual is going to make the decision that's best for that individual. Just because your family or your friends might want you to go to a certain school, like, you got to do what's best for you. Like, just go back to Rousseau. Like, he had to make a decision that was best for him at this opportunity in this moment, right? So I don't really think that has any play. I mean, again, how many 5-star kids have we missed on over the years? I mean, it doesn't change anything.
Definitely.
Also, too, like Markevius Brown, 4-star cornerback out of IMG. Like, we got to go after him hard. We made his top 5 list, I believe. He's interested in Miami. He's out there and he's interested in Miami. I think it does kill a little bit of momentum, but not as much. Corey Collier, I mean, he's never even visited Baton Rouge. If he wants to go to Florida, that's fine. But I think Coach Hova over there, I don't think he has a good word with the Palmetto 5 guys. I think that's really what kind of started everything. Like I said, I think we're in a good position with Jason Marshall. I'd be surprised, but man, Chase Smith, I think he's coming. Remember, I think his father played football in Miami as well. I could be wrong on that. Some people were telling me that. So,
Chase Smith's father.
It could be a
piggybacking off what Cole said, I wouldn't really consider Jason Marshall a miss, because weeks before, we weren't even in his top 3.
True.
And then out of nowhere he drops a top 5 and we're in it. So I consider crazy that before thinking we weren't gonna get Leonard Taylor or Brashard Smith, and out of nowhere we're the Hurricanes now, until they sign the paper like Cole says, but they're committed right now.
Listen, until you sign on that line, listen, y'all know me, man. I'm a huge proponent of, until you sign on that line, these verbals don't mean nothing to me. I can get excited and I can be, hyped up a little bit, but in the back of my mind, look, you lose 4 or 5 games. You think these kids are gonna still be committed? Don't think so.
And Miami's known for that. Miami's known for everyone jumping ship.
until you got that Hurricane helmet and that jersey number, and Coke could call you by your jersey number, you ain't nothing yet.
Listen, once I call you by that number, bro, it means something, man. Because you know what? Like today, when I saw B Blades, the first thing I said to him was, "What's good 3-6?" Because I think that those people who wear that jersey, I think if you call them by their number, it shows a lot more respect. You can call somebody by their name, blah, blah, blah. But, man, you call them by their number, and you call them by their number 30 years, from when they played, that means something to them. Believe that.
Hey, what's up with Ja'Cory Brooks? I see everyone asking about Ja'Cory Brooks. You know, he's committed to Alabama. I think Booker T. Washington, local product. I mean, is Miami out of the picture? Is it a done deal, or everyone's
I don't think Miami's ever out of the picture, but at the same time, man, like, I don't know, man. We've missed out on some huge receivers over the last couple of years, you know, and I'm talking about like the Ridleys and the Coopers. I mean, like, you know, and the Judys. Like, we missed out on. But let me tell you, man, if someone like Brooks, like, literally wanted to get in this class, and you don't take him, you're just, there's something wrong with you. Like, literally, I think Likens would jump on that in a heartbeat.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, but looking at this receipt, I mean, this is the first, like, one of the first classes I could say, like, all of our receiver commits just are eye popping. There's something different about each and every one of them that they bring. So, like, having a guy like Ja'Cory Brooks, what receiver do we drop if we have to? Like, that's where I'm just like, man, I don't want to get rid of Jacoby George. I don't want to get rid of Romello Brinson.
Again, these coaches know how to work that. If he wanted to come, they making room. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure.
And then listen, what I like about that is the competition, right? You put them dudes, you know, you line them dudes up on Green Tree, and again, you playing your best people, man. You know, this ain't no favoritism thing. This ain't no entitlement situation. Is you literally playing who outworks each other, you know? So it's different, man. I'm telling you, you got to put the work in.
And one thing people don't take into account, you know, to consideration is many and a lot of the staff is already into 2022. You know, this is chess, not checkers. You know, these guys are looking forward to, you know, numbers next year. You know, how many spots do we take? You know, what is our offers looking like? Who out there, you know, are we already recruiting in 2022? Defensive end in 2022, there's like 6 guys in South Florida, bro. It's all highly rated 4 stars. So, you know, I mean, you got wide receivers just as deep. It's not a good year running back, but there's still like 2 or 3 that, you know, could, you know, be Canes in the end of the day. So, you know, it's not just 2021 like it is. That's obviously what we're focused on, trying to get kids to sign, but still got to make sure, you know, your numbers next year are, you know, working out, because you don't want to take 4 receivers this year and then all of a sudden you need 3 more next year. You know, now you have 7 receivers within 2 classes. Then you get transfers, and got to make sure it's weeded out right. You know, same with running back.
And I think that's what's kind of hurting college football right now, like, is that transfer portal, right? As much as I love it, and I think Miami has benefited from the portal over the last couple of years, at the same time, man, you get too many of these dudes wanting to play, and they ain't getting that PT. I got to go. I'm going to hit the portal, you know? And again, that's why I feel like the loyalty, like, to me, man, when you make that commitment, you're making that commitment. You know, like, listen, that just tells me that you don't want to work to get your spot on that field, man. You'd rather take the easy way out and say, hey, look, I'm going to bounce.
Or you have a situation like Cleveland Reed, who realized he made the mistake, came back and actually got better. You know, I mean, as a physical specimen, I mean, seeing the difference between last year and this year already, and what he's put his body through as far as weight room and conditioning and being fundamentally sound, I think that's a guy that is going to surprise some people this year in Cleveland Reed. I mean, he's doing everything he can off the field to make it to that next level. I think it's going to be fun to watch, man. But hey, we just hit the 2-hour mark. I think it's good to wind the show down a little bit. Paul, you got any last words from my guys?
Nah, man, I appreciate everyone coming on, from Lovo to a roster man to Deco, man. Greatly appreciate it. First time for everyone, I think. So, man, thank you so much. We got 165.
Brad never gives us the invite.
Right.
He's
been hogging it.
Right.
He's been hogging it, man. It's all good, man. It's a pleasure to have you guys on. Man, what's your season prediction this upcoming season, man? We got 170 people live right now. So go at it, guys.
I really think sky's the limit. I don't see why you can't go undefeated. I mean, you could trip up, but, like, I think the talent that you have, and I think the leadership, again, like, I'm a big Zach McLeod fan, so on defense, I think Zach McLeod's going to hold down that D. I think he's going to be an outspoken leader this year. I think he kind of was a shadow between with Pinckney and Shaq, but I think he's really going to step up and take the leadership role. But I literally think they can run the table. I mean, maybe one loss, but I think they can run the table.
Rostam, man, what do you think?
1-0.
I love it. No, it's so true. It's so true. We're a streaky program. Since Al Golden, Mark Rick, we're streaky, man. We win consecutively and we lose consecutively. Look at Florida, look at UNC, and then we were in a shootout with Central Michigan. They were a drive away from winning. I mean, we're streaky as hell.
Exactly.
Shit.
But then you put up 62 on Louisville.
Makes no sense.
Consistency and accountability. Those are going to be the two things I look out this year. Consistency and accountability. It starts with the head coach. It goes with the offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach, and then to the players, and especially the kicker. We finally got a kicker for this year and for years coming with the Borgalis brothers, and I think kicking alone is going to make a huge difference. I mean, it's been a while since special teams has been an asset for the Miami Hurricanes. When you look back, that's been one of those key position groups where anytime Miami's great, special teams is always a highlight of the team. You always got that guy either returning punts, returning kick, or the kicking game is usually consistent in winning you the close ball games, right?
Matt Bosher.
Yep. So hopefully no more Bubbas, right? No more Bubbas. And golden.
If I could say one thing to everybody listening, like I know there's quite a few out there, man. Listen, man, let these kids be kids. Don't be trying to bash these kids, man. They're young adults, man. Leave them alone, man. If they make mistakes, they make mistakes. We're just fans, man. I know we can get passionate, but at the end of the day, we're supposed to support these student athletes and support these coaches. Like some of y'all are just like idiots in your comments, man. Just let these kids be kids, man, and just leave them alone.
Hey, I think with that statement, man, we got to wrap it up, man. Great show. Thank you, everyone, for coming on, man. It's always a pleasure. And always all about the you guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right,